Mohammed. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, government suspends central management system platform for national service postings due to malpractices. How effective is this and what's the way forward? We'll find out shortly. Meanwhile, government also considers overhaul of school feeding system amidst quality concerns. Ahead in business, Cards International urges Bank of Ghana to address growing burden of excessive ATM charges. And later on the foreign front, children swept away in school bars are among at least 49 persons reportedly killed in South African flood. We have details of these and many more all in the 60 Minutes Bulletin. Please do stay tuned in. Hello again. Once again, I am Lily Mohammed. The government of Ghana has suspended the operations of the central management system utilized by the National Service Authority for posting national service personnel. This decision follows an expose by the Fourth Estate, which uncovered alleged ghost names factored into the authority's payroll, resulting in the misappropriation of over 500 million Ghana cedis by previous directors. Here's a full statement from the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment to the authority.
Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment's attention has been drawn to emerging concerns surrounding the digital infrastructure currently in use at the National Service Authority, specifically the Central Management System, CMS, for postings. Following the directive from the Office of the President, the use of the CMS has been suspended with immediate effect. There's decisive step to undertake the necessary actions to safeguard the integrity of the National Service Authority.
Let's extend the conversation. Joining us is a Vice President and Director of Strategic Communications of Imani Africa, who is also an ICT business analyst, Selon Brantier. Mr. Brantier, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and your viewers.
Okay, good to have you. Now, we know that the CMS is flawed. Shouldn't this have been the first port of call upon assumption of a new administration to entirely overhaul it?
Well, with all of these things, usually you would also want some level of continuity of operations, especially for a critical service like the national service. You would have to have some kind of contingency measures or it's kind of transition plan in place before you actually decide to fully suspend a system. Be it as it may, we have a situation where the flaws of the system have been exposed, but there had to have been the evidence that has been presented by the Attorney General as well as the investigative body that was investigating the NSS scandal to be able to come up with these findings, because those ones will even be instructive in determining whether it will be recommended to keep using the system or not. And it is in that direction that now the conclusion has been made that the system be suspended. So really, it is not a matter of just suspending it for political reasons, but for practical reasons. And a suspension like this probably should have come around a time when maybe there's a transition from this current year's batch to another batch to have enough time for any request for quotations or requests for proposals, etc., to be done, to be able to source a new supplier for this. And it is important that things like this are done and are done transparently so that the right vendor can be chosen to run this particular service. It is also very sad and unfortunate that in a digitalization drive like what we had, we had a system that became so porous as to allow over 9,000 ghost names and the consequent breaches that happened. Every system is as good as the people that run or man the system. However, systems that are supposed to check integrity or enhance integrity shouldn't also be built such that they can be overridden very easily by people who operate the system. Then it does not cause or create any basis for the system to have been developed in the first place. So while it is very good, it is important that the system is being suspended for now, it is also important that the lessons that have been learned from the audit that has been done be put into practice by ensuring that a new system will be foolproof, will have full integration and visibility with any other systems that are there to check, very importantly, the identity of each and every person that is being signed up for the National Service Scheme. And this is one of the reasons why we do not do digitalization in silo, but we have to do it such that multiple systems talk to each other, so that anytime you want to do an audit trail or you want to track something down, it is easy for anybody who wants to do an audit to check and know that this person is truly there or not there. When we build our systems and we design them such that they do not interact or talk to other systems, then these problems that we see with the National Service platform will prevail.
But is it time to take a critical look at our National Service Authority and, if need be, overhaul it entirely? Not necessarily a particular segment like a CMS system. Absolutely.
Times have changed and systems have evolved since the National Service Scheme was first introduced in the 80s. I believe that the requirements are even different, and I believe that even looking at the amount of money the government is spending, it will be actually, this would actually be a very great time to restructure the whole National Service Scheme and then look at involving private sector even more in such a scheme.
Right.
Or look at targeted towards more skills development and targeted towards more industry relevant activities that will ensure that most people who enroll on the scheme will have that level of continuity of work, especially right after service. And we should target it at sectors of the economy that require it most, not just dumping people into ministries or supposedly good places, but rather putting it in areas of the economy where they are needed the most, and in areas where probably private sector participation needs such people to be able to boost productivity. So I believe that the time has come for a full overhaul of the service structure.
But Mr. Banche, is national service important to us as a democracy? Where we are now, is it important to us? If we do away with it, will it affect us in any way? Can't we do away with it?
I believe that this is not the time to, or this is not a prudent time to actually do away with the whole National Service Scheme. It builds a stopgap between the time when students transition from graduating from school to getting their first job, or gives them at least some semblance of a job, experience, even before they enter the full job market. Think about it as like an audition for having a job or entering the full-time employment. There are several democracies in the world. South Korea still does national service mandatorily. Other countries also do similar. And it is a way of also ensuring that for certain critical areas or in certain underprivileged communities, they also have the complement of people who will be able to serve or add value to systems and services that are critical, especially in areas of education, areas of health, even in areas of local government administration, in the district assemblies and all. Because not every district assembly that is able to recruit people or locals, but some of them really deeply rely on national service persons to be able to fill up certain gaps in their human resource. And some people actually go fill those gaps and end up staying in those places. From even the time I did my national service up to now, there are people who have managed to maintain their positions and offer great value at places where they were deployed. So the National Service Scheme in itself is a very, very important and relevant one for this country.
Okay.
What we just need to do is to make sure that it does not affect the public purse as much as it does now, and then we have to make it more efficient and also much more transparent, so that schemes where, because let's note that this is not the first scandal that has rocked the NSS. Prior to 2016, around 2014, 2015, there was another scandal, which means that historically it has been a place which has created a conducive atmosphere for people to siphon government funds on the cheap. So what we need to do, what this government needs to do, is to put its foot down and assertively ensure that there is no wastage in the national service system. And if it means removing people, removing systems, redesigning it, calling for public, recommendations on how best to do it, and involving the private sector more, then that should be the way to go to ensure that this system actually achieves its objectives. There are lots of youth who need jobs or who are even posted to places where they are redundant, and this cannot be done this cannot be fixed if we redesign the national service policy and make it more relevant to the needs of 2025 and beyond.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for speaking to us. As always, Selim Branti, he is the Vice President of Imani Africa. Moving on and touching on education, the government has expressed dissatisfaction with both the quantity and quality of food being supplied to schools across the country. According to the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, the ministry is considering a review of the current decentralized system under which head teachers are responsible for procuring food for their respective schools. Speaking at a stakeholder engagements, the minister noted that since December 2024, head teachers have overseen food procurement. However, he revealed that a new approach is being considered under the proposed system. The National Buffer Stock Company will be tasked with supplying grains, while school authorities will continue to manage the procurement of perishable items.
One evening, I had to, I'm not necessarily a WhatsApp person, so the president had to ask me for my WhatsApp, so I'm now on WhatsApp. So I went getting some WhatsApp to receive a poor quality gari and palm nut served by a school. That is not acceptable. And in terms of quantities, I've even asked the internal auditor of the Ministry of Education to move around the country and give me an audit report. As I became minister working with Director General and Free Senior High School, from December till yesterday, we have sent the money directly for them to do the procurement. We've so far 500 to 600 million have been released to them. At least I know 203 million, 208 million, another 100 million released to them. But we are not satisfied with the quantity and the quality of food. That is why we are re-engaging and we are repositioning to share in doing it. We are still at the consultative level, and where appropriate to reverse it, we'll reverse it. In fact, we met with Charles in Sunyani to discuss matters of common interest, and it included the distribution of food. Our wish and desire will be for them to continue, but I also get a flag when the food is not supplied on time and with quality. And therefore, we are saying that buffer stock can do. The good thing is that this is not a buffer stock of the past. This buffer stock, I'm told, in the next couple of days, even if they haven't gotten it already, I know the higher authority requested that some 100 million be released for their operations and activities. And as I said, this time when they buy, the Free Senior High School Secretariat will authenticate the data, then GHOne out of his reserve should be able to pay it. So payment should be much more faster for the Free Senior High School area under GHOne than it was.
Now, Now, although the minister has indicated that consultations will be held, the National Food Suppliers Association says it will begin taking over food supply to schools starting July 1. According to the association, the reversal of the decentralized system is long overdue, especially since the previous administration had already completed the groundwork for the change. Joining me via Zoom is Kweku Amaduma. He is the spokesperson for the National Food Suppliers Association. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Amaduma. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you confirm that indeed you are beginning a supply of food to the various schools on July 1?
Yes, exactly so. We have had some engagement with buffer stock management, and the information we were told, or that was relayed to us, was the effect that they want suppliers to undertake supplies to the various schools beginning from 1st July. And we're made to believe that from January to ending of June, funding had been provided to the headmasters to do their procurement. And so they have their own stock till the end of this month. And so contract letters are being prepared to serve individual companies who are willing and qualified under the buffer stock arrangement to undertake supply to the various schools. And let me hasten to add that, in fact, you remember the reason why government opted to decentralize, as it were, give monies to the headmasters to undertake supply was the effect that they wanted to ensure quality, they wanted to ensure quantity, they wanted to ensure efficiency in the delivery of the food items. And we made the argument that giving money to the headmasters were not going to solve the problems. The problems associated with the food delivery that has to do with quality or quantity has nothing to do with whether the headmaster is giving money or the headmaster is not giving money. I think by and large, after 5 months or 6 months into administration, the Minister of Education has realized that our argument holds water. Because according to him, there's still the problem of inefficiency, poor quality. It means that we've been vindicated. We've always said that the problem associated with we've always said that the problem associated with the food delivery has to do with funding. If government makes funding available, then the system of dealing with buffer stock and GCS has no problem at all. Indeed, when we go to deliver the food items, now,
Kweku, you talk about the system. Now, I'm sure you'd recall that there have been times in the past under the centralized system where national food suppliers had cause to complain about funds not coming in, food delivery was delayed. Don't you think the centralized system? What is wrong with the decentralized system? Is it just food quality?
The issues are not about centralized or decentralized. Whatever way you want to look at the feeding problem, it is already decentralized, because when a supplier is given a contract to supply, the supplier might be coming from the northern region and he does a supply in the northern region. When a supplier is coming from the Volta region and you're asking him to procure maize, or you're asking him to procure items or beans, such as beans, you don't get beans in Volta region. You go to Ejura or Akebubu to procure your beans. And so the question of centralized or decentralized is a bit debatable. But my point here is that, you see, the problem had to do with adequate funding available, so that when the supplier brings his food items and deliver according to the prescribed procedure, government is able to pay untimely. And
you think that this reversal will curtail that?
That has been the problem.
You think that this reversal will curtail that?
The quality of the food items, the headmasters, the bursars are to be empowered. Delivery system should be strengthened. Efficiency should be strengthened at the takeover centers, so that there should be more supervision at the delivery centers, so that when suppliers bring the food items to the delivery centers, the headmasters or whoever is empowered to check the invoices and check the items being brought, to ensure that quality and quantity is not compromised.
Now, Kweku, I'm asking if you think this will be curtailed.
I'm
I'm asking if you think this will be curtailed. The issue of delayed funding, I mean, if we're reverting back to the old, the issue of delayed funding, students will not have food, parents will be worried. Now parents will have to send food to their wards in school. This will be curtailed?
My sister, as I speak to you, government needs 200 million in every 2 weeks to be able to give to headmasters. Every 2 weeks, government must provide 200 million for the free SHS to be sustained. But with the case of supplier, the supplier raises funding for his own on his own and does the supply and give government 90 days.
Okay.
So there's a leeway for government to prepare and bring the money. And there's a new proposal here. In the elsewhere administration or the previous administration, we didn't seem to have a reliable source of funding for the feeding program or for the free SHS program. But it looks as if government has some 3% on the get fund budget to fund the project. So it gives a reassurance to every supplier who was undertake that after the 90 days, the supplier will get paid. And when the supplier gets paid, when efficiency of taking over, when delivery centers are sophisticated with enough people with capacity to supervise whatever they are taking over so that they can attest on the invoices. When we improve on the taking over and all other things, I think we will not be here to complain. Okay. I think free SHS will be more enhanced, supplier will be more encouraged, there will be more hope to progress.
But how long has engagements been going on between the ministry, buffer stock, and the national food suppliers? How long has engagements been going on?
Oh, it's been going on for five months now, ever since they proposed to decentralize it. We've been having talks with them. We've been having we've been making our case loud before them, and we're telling them that it will not solve the problem because the headmasters had been part of the process from the beginning, from the 2017 when the free SHS and the free feeding was introduced. The headmasters were empowered. They do 30% of the entire procurement. That is to say, they do the perishable like tomatoes and the cooking items and all that. But the question here is, how fair have they gone on with their 30%? It's been a problem. Permit me, just give me 2 minutes to make a point here. The minister has complained about the quality of the food cooked. In fact, I want to reiterate that the quality of the cooking has nothing to do with the supplier. Okay. The supplier is only billed to bring beans and cook beans and cook maize, vegetable oil and rice. It is the duty of the headmaster and the school management to employ competent caterers and to ensure that good food with nutritional balance is prepared for the kids. So giving money to headmasters to go and buy maize or grains or food items does not.
Unfortunately, technology is not our best ally. I lost him there, but he made his points well known. That's Kwame Duma. He is a national spokesperson for the National Food Suppliers Association. Kweku, I lost you there, but I thought you had made your point well known.
Yes, I had made my point, but what I want to make what I want to reiterate is that in fact this system, headmasters have been part, and I don't think there's a hard feeling. I hear people, they say, government had made a promise to decentralize, and now government is making a U-turn. My sister, there is nothing wrong on a political trail in opposition, a government looking at a policy with a different perception, and then when assuming the reins of power, having confronted with the real issues and the practicalities of the policy, now decides to review, go back, and ensure efficiency and take the initial program, program as it started with. There's nothing wrong going back to take your rights. I think the most important thing is if it benefits to the generality of the student, if it will enhance the sustenance of the business of the policy, if it will make free SHS sustainable, so that the ordinary child who can afford an ordinary meal in the school can be fed. If that objective is achieved,
points well noted. Thank you very much, Kweku.
I don't think
Thank you for your time. That's Kwekwa Meduma. He is a spokesperson for the National Food Suppliers Association. Moving on, the Member of Parliament for Busumchin and former Education Minister Dr. Yaosei Edichum has formally declared his intent to contest for the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidacy ahead of the 2028 general elections. Dr. Edichum announced his resolve to join the race once nominations are officially opened by the party. Dr. Edichum becomes one of the prominent figures to publicly declare interest in the party's top leadership role, joining an emerging list of contenders which includes former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, businessman and former Central MP Kennedy GHOne, and former Minister for Agriculture Brian Echampong, among others.
I, Dr. Yaosei Edichum, declare my intent to run for the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party when nominations are officially opened by the party, and eventually, with your support, become the President of Ghana. This declaration is above all a call to action to every Ghanaian who dares to believe that our country can be better, stronger, and more united. I'm offering myself as a servant leader with a mindset to transform our nation. Let us rise together with discipline, determination, and dignity to build the Ghana we want, the Ghana we deserve. I'm ready to serve.
Let's now engage a political analyst, Professor Samuel Edujemfi. Prof, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you. Well, yes, it's still morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let's talk about first of all, the NPP deciding to go to presidential primaries early. Then we can look at the candidature of Dr. Yaosei Edichum and what he brings to the NPP's, top job.
Right. So if you look at the early primaries, I'm contemplating that they should rather build from the base before they have a flag bearer. I share the sentiment or the thought that say that they should not rather operate from the apex and do a top-down approach. Once you have a bottom-up approach, what you are doing is inclusivity. You are allowing the party itself to decide the fate of the party going forward into 2028. I say so because the last election, the MPP had 41% or so. The executives who went into this election lost to the NDC. The margin was that huge, and that there should be room for the NPP to recalibrate and, among other things, elect potential new leaders who will be able to give a new energy to the party and mobilize the base in a unique way, build a united front as compared to this effort that are being engineered to satisfy the old order. You don't go to war with paper tigers. You go to war with real tigers. You go to war with real lions. And those on the ground must be those individuals who come in with fresh ideas, skill, energy, and ability to reconcile the ranks that are, if you like, woefully, that are divided in such a way that the party needs to patch up. Today, such old, paper tigers are trying to hold their ranks and hold the power they have within the party. And when you do that, it's as if you are approaching this whole exercise from a certain oligarchic and plutocratic agenda. And in that respect, what you are doing is to skew the whole interest of the party to satisfy the very few. And when you do that, you may manipulate the system, skew the system, and try to win power. In the long run, when you go to the national election, it may be difficult for you to mobilize the masses and the front of the party. And so it is important they overlook the presidential flag bearership issue and rather concentrate on electing new leaders within the base.
Now, Prof, you just mentioned a very critical point that after elections, generally internal elections, people are disenfranchised, people are peeved, and so there will be the need to galvanize its base. Don't you think this is one of the steps to curtail people being disenfranchised and not going out to vote for the party in its entirety when it heads to the general elections in 2028, to make sure that it brings everybody on board early enough?
Who's going to bring people on board early enough? The whole process, you want to find out whether it's going to follow, yes, the internal democratic process, and nobody's going to have an underhand try to buy or, wet the palm of individuals because they have the financial capacity to be able to do so. And when they have done that, such individuals who go to the polls, the kingmakers, and vote for that individual who has the financial muscle to do so. And more so, wouldn't also same in York to those who have already captured power and still are holding on to it, and so trying to maintain the base. So the idea is not really to unite their ranks, it is to, first of all, maintain the status quo. Those who went to elections and lost want to maintain the status quo. Immediately you have the flag bearer. The flag bearer, indeed, like you said earlier, will have a certain authority, a certain moral order to be able to whip all party members into line because he's the flag bearer. That's not the case. Now, if he's going to whip all executives into line, it means that they are going to vote toward a certain direction.
Fine.
So they are going to vote to satisfy the old order. The old order is supporting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So let's assume that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia wins. Is he not going to ensure that the old order remains? It's exactly the plot. It is not to satisfy the interest of the MPP. And I'm saying that church cabal that seeks to sustain said agenda eventually are going to cause the MPP to lose woefully in 2028, holding all other things constant, because the ranks of the party will be further fragmented. It will further be broken. And I said yesterday that this would make the party catatonic, right? And in many ways, the party will not be able to reconcile its base because it is going to be further divided. Why? Because the internal arrangement to allow for a new order was controlled through an artificial machination. And that in itself is going to cause the party in a way that it will not be able to produce a president. That's the point I'm making.
Okay. Now let's look at the candidature of Dr. Yaosey Duchum. He's going against people who contested against each other, especially for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Kennedy Ejapong in its presidential primaries in 2023. Do you think he stands a chance, even though there's a new entrant in the Brian Achampong?
Yeah, but why is Dr. Duchum interested? Why is Brian Achampong interested? At least I know that Mr. Kennedy Ejapong went for the last contest, right? But why are these two other individuals interested at this time of the day? Why are they interested? Why is Dr. Duchum interested? Why is it that the entirety of the party is not saying that Dr. Bawumia should go? Why are others showing keen interest that they want to lead the party? It is a vote of no confidence in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Simple. It's a vote of no confidence in him. And if I were him, I would sit aside and allow the real contest to occur between Mr. Kennedy Ejapong, Dr. Duchum, Brian Achampong, and the others who will emerge. Right? But today, what we are seeing is fascination. Satisfy Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I like the gentleman, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I don't like the gentleman who want to manipulate the MPP internal election and want to win it for himself.
So you think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is trying to manipulate the NPP internal elections?
That is the position I have on this subject. I feel that if you are to elections with 41%, don't try to bend back to try to massage even history and all that. I follow this narrative. I think the advisors are really going to cause him and eventually divide the party.
Okay.
Dr. Bichum's presence is a vote of no confidence in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay. Prof, thank you very much. That's Professor Samuel Edujemfi. He is a political analyst. Let's move on and talk about other issues. The Minister of Works and Housing and Water Resources, Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, says Ghana needs $6 billion in investment to implement comprehensive flood control measures across the country. To realize that vision, he says government would embark on public-private partnerships and climate financing as well as development partners support. The minister made this known while delivering a statement on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday in response to the perennial flooding across the country and measures being put in place to deal with the phenomenon.
Mr. Speaker, to conclude, no amount of engineering will succeed without enforcement and civic responsibility. Developers must comply with planning laws, citizens must stop dumping waste into drains, and MMDAs must enforce building codes diligently. The ministry is also collaborating with the Ministry of Education to integrate flood awareness into school curricula and promote youth-led sanitation campaigns. Public infrastructure must be matched with public discipline. Mr. Speaker, finally, the ministry estimates that an investment of approximately $6 billion is needed to implement comprehensive flood control measures across the country. We will seek public-private partnerships, climate financing, and development partner support to realize this vision. We remain committed to building a Ghana that is flood resilient, climate smart, and safe for all citizens. With the support of Parliament, stakeholders, and the public, we can turn this crisis into an opportunity to build sustainable, inclusive infrastructure and protect our environment.
On this subject, the Member of Parliament for Afajatu South, Frank Efiye, has attributed perennial flooding to attitudinal issues. Speaking on GH today, he said that while funding is a concern, it is not the sole cause of flooding and that certain behaviors and attitudes among Ghanaians worsen the problem.
Funding is an issue, but it's not entirely the whole issue. And so we need to ask ourselves that what are we not doing right? Behavioral and attitudinal aspects also need to be looked at.
Why? Like the minister mentioned.
Absolutely. In fact, you go to most homes because they are illegal structures. The occupants of those households do not even have proper, signed contract with solid waste, management system and lifting companies. And so what they do is to stockpile these waste materials. As soon as there is signal that is coming to rain, they get them ready. When the flood comes, they dump the rubbish into it. And of course, the flood will have to carry all this and block the gutters, those that we have even constructed. So attitudinal issues are also at the heart of why we are not seeing the kind of results we got to be yielding from the investment that we have done in time past.
Let's now bring you some business stories. Coalition Against Galamsey has re-echoed calls for the repeal of the legislative instrument 2462 mining law, which permits mining activities in forest reserves. According to them, despite the government's promise to annul the law, no concrete action has been taken after almost 2 months of governance. Speaking to a press conference, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, the lead convener of the coalition, emphasized that although the Attorney General Dominic Anyene, who headed the subsidiary legislative committee under the previous Akufo-Addo administration, had pushed for its review, no substantive results have been seen.
We demand a state of emergency in the required areas now. And again, this is state of emergency in the required areas. We are not saying state of emergency in the entire country. If you read the Constitution, it talks about declaration of state of emergency in parts of the country, and that's what we're talking about. The recent near-fatal attack on Dr. Hannah Louisa Bisu, following an illegal mining raid at Gui Sobenso, as reported widely in the media on June 5th, 2025, by armed thugs, is not an isolated incident. It's a symptom of the lawless epidemic within the mining zone. Gun-wielding gangs now operate with terrifying boldness, and if this government does not act decisively, no one is safe. This justifies our long-standing demand for a state of emergency in critical mining zones, enforced by military presence, drone surveillance, asset freezes, to propose just a few strategies. Illegal mining areas, in our estimation, appear to be a training ground for mercenaries that threaten the national security and stability of our democracy. So a state of emergency would empower the security forces to nip this emerging national security threat in the bud. If this is not done urgently, the repercussions will be dire.
Now, the producer price index for May 2025 was 262.4, down from 273.9 in April 2025 and up from 238.2 in May 2024. Year-on-year producer price inflation in ex-factory prices for all goods and services was therefore 10.2% in May 2025. This indicates that on average, the ex-factory price of goods and services increased by 10.2% between May 2024 and May 2025, representing a decrease of 8.3 percentage points from the previous year-on-year rate is not accurate based on the numbers provided, however. On a month-on-month basis, there was producer price deflation of 4.2% between April and May 2025, meaning that the average prices producers received for their goods and services fell by 4.2% in May compared to April 2025. Consequently, producers were earning 4.2% less on average for their products in May than they did in April. Has called on the Bank of Ghana to address the growing burden of excessive ATM fees that unfairly penalize consumers across the country. According to the 2025 State of the Ghanaian Consumer Report, CATS surveyed 1,795 consumers across all 10 regions of Ghana. The findings paint a troubling picture. 71% of respondents reported encountering ATM-related issues within the past 3 months, including technical glitches, power outages, and cash shortages. As a result, 44% were forced to use third-party ATMs, with 68% of them stating they were not informed of additional fees before completing their transactions. The think tank highlighted that in Ghana, many consumers only become aware of these charges through debit alerts or monthly bank statements, an approach that violates the Bank of Ghana's own consumer protection directives. The report also emphasized that the financial burden of ATM fees is particularly unjust, given the operational savings banks enjoy through automated services. Despite these savings, consumers continue to face monthly maintenance fees or per transaction charges, even when using their own bank's ATMs. CATS is therefore urging the Bank of Ghana to take swift action to enforce transparency and fairness in ATM charges in line with consumer protection standards. engage the West Africa Regional Director for CAT International, Apia Kusi Adomako Vazum. Mr. Adomako, thank you very much for joining us. Good afternoon to you. Hello, Mr. Adomako. Good afternoon to you. If you can hear me, per your report, were there any specific banks or regions that stood out in terms of poor service to customers or even high charges? We do apologize, we lost him there. But I was interested in knowing which banks and the issue of monthly ATM service charges. I think that is a good call. Anyway, that's it for the business brief. Let's bring you the latest updates in sports. And Benjamin Yamwa Bengazi is standing by with all.
And you welcome on to sports, where international boxing manager Elliot Amwako has emphasized the crucial role of managers in the development of boxers, stating that they primarily are responsible in actively seeking opportunities by engaging with promoters and organizers for their boxers.
The number one thing is they want to earn money. To earn money, they got to have a fight. So the manager's job is like contacting promoters, finding opportunities for the fighters to fight on the promoter's shows, or sign the fighter and give them a promoter. They'll sign with the promoter for like 1, 2, 3 years with a minimum of 2, 3, 4 fights a year. So you just got to go out there and look for work for them. And then once you find a fight, help them prepare, make sure that they've got what they need. Some boxers need help finding sparring partners, or they may not have the facilities where they're based, so we need to find another city for them to prepare for the fight. And recovery, like physio, massages, ice baths, all that type of stuff. And yeah.
Well, however, Elliot Amwako stirred his excitement in Ghana's boxing circles after declaring that the current Africa bantamweight champion Theophilus Papo Alote possesses superior skills compared to his rival Gosh following the recent bout at the Bukom Boxing Arena.
I felt like he had the better skills, Theo, and Gosh was more the aggressive pressure fighter. So when you're the pressure fighter and you're fighting someone more skillful than you, you need to focus on going to the body and tiring him out so you can turn it from a boxing fight to a fight. Right. But Theo was able to evade and use his skills to win the fight. But they were both talented fighters. They could easily fight the guy.
From boxing, let's do some golf news now, where the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adams, met with the leadership of the Professional Golfers Association, that's PGA Ghana, on Wednesday to chart a course for integrating golf into national development efforts with a strong emphasis on environmental stewardship. Now, led by PGA Ghana President Hans de Boer, the delegation engaged the minister in a wide-ranging discussion centered on the shared vision of using golf as a dual vehicle for sports growth and environmental consciousness. The meeting follows Minister Adams' recent attendance at the Celebrity Golf Tournament, a gesture he says underlines his personal commitment to the sports, that's golf. The Minister for Sports assured the PGA leadership that their collaboration will be dynamic and community-focused. Now, some key initiatives discussed include launching golf in schools program to introduce the sport at the grassroots level, rolling out climate awareness campaigns through sport, using golf natural setting as a platform, engaging regional communities in growing the game and building local capacity as well for the game of golf. Well, Chelsea winger Mikhailo Mudryk has been charged by the Federation with anti-doping violations. Mudryk was previously suspended by the FA in December after failing a drugs test. The positive test was for prohibited substances, that's which was administered abroad when Mudryk was not on Chelsea's duty. He now faces a potential ban of up to 4 years under the FIFA rules. Mudryk's legal counsel said in a statement that Mr. Mudryk's position remains as set out in his December statement, and he shall not be commenting any further at this time owing to the confidentiality of the whole process being carried out as we speak. Well, in ending sports, updates from the Club World Cup last night. City won 2-0 against Wydad of Africa, that's Morocco. Real drew 1-1 with Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia. And of course, Juventus also beat Al Ain 5-0 last night in the Club World Cup fixtures. That's it for sports. But don't forget, at 12:30 on Star FM will be on, and also at 1 p.m. the game will be on as well on GHOne TV. My name is Benjamin Yamoa.
Let's bring you some more local news. National Fire Service has successfully brought under control a major fire that broke out late Wednesday night in the Tema Heavy Industrial area. The blaze, which destroyed over 500 wooden structures, fortunately resulted in no injuries or fatalities at exactly 11:52 p.m. on Wednesday, June 18, 2025. The Tema Regional Fire Command received a distress call about a fire outbreak behind Ferro Fabric Limited, a location populated with multiple wooden structures used for both domestic and commercial purposes. Within 6 minutes, a team from the Tema Industrial Area Fire Station, led by ADO1 Orlando Adablanu, arrived on the scene. The crew managed to bring the blaze under control by 1:59 a.m. and fully extinguished it by 5:43 a.m. on Thursday, June 19. To reinforce the operation, 6 additional fire engines were dispatched from surrounding stations, including Tema Metro, Motoe, Ashaiman, Newtown, Deftraco, and Boss Fire stations. The swift intervention helped salvage a number of wooden structures and prevented the fire from spreading to the Ferro Fabric Limited and nearby factories. Despite their efforts, more than 500 wooden structures and their contents were lost to the fire. The operation was led by the Tema Regional Fire Commander, ACF 2 Patrick Salah, with support from other senior officers and partner agencies. The Ghana National Fire Service says the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Meanwhile, the service has commended its personnel for their rapid, coordinated and tactical response that saved lives and protected critical infrastructure. Let's now head to the entertainment zone, shall we? Against filmmaker and media mogul Tyler Perry. Actor Derek Dixon, who appeared in several episodes of Perry's TV show The Overhaul, has filed a $260 million lawsuit accusing Perry of sexual assault, workplace misconduct, and abuse of power. Dixon claims what began as a promising career opportunity turned into a troubling experience marked by manipulation and harassment. The lawsuit alleges a pattern of inappropriate behavior and quid pro quo exchanges where career advancement was tied to personal interactions. Perry, through his attorney Matthew Boyd, has firmly denied all accusations. Let's bring you some international news now. At least 49 people are confirmed dead after flooding hit South Africa, including children whose school bus was swept away during the extreme weather. That's according to officials. An intense cold front has ripped across parts of South Africa, bringing rain and snow and triggering floods. In the Eastern Cape, one of the hardest hit provinces, floodwaters have forced many people out of their homes, causing power outages and road closures, according to the provincial authority. Early on Wednesday, the state broadcaster SABC reported that the school bus was swept into a river in the Kolini village on Tuesday morning while en route to school. The provincial government said 13 people, including